Good evening and welcome to the new Author Spotlight for Tales from Beyond. I'm delighted to be joined today by prolific genre author Ruby O'Connor. So nice to see you here again, Ruby, and welcome to Tales from Beyond Volume 2, I guess. Um,
Yeah, it's lovely to meet here.
Excellent. It was actually one of the things one of the elements that happened when we were originally putting together Tales from Beyond was I knew Ruby was a genre author from some of the writing groups that actually were in Red Books at the time. So one of the things that came up for us was when we put out the open for any submissions. I expected Ruby to be there, but I didn't quite expect what we got in the end, which was the free agents. Part one of Apotheosis was a split between Volume 1 and Volume 2 of Tales from Beyond, which will be out this Halloween. And I have to say, it was the very first story in the first Tales from Beyond, had to be to start and really set the tone was the free agent. So could you please tell us about it, Ruby?
Oh, yeah. I remember when I took writing classes, back when I was in college or taking college courses. And there was this fantastic thing. It might even be like memed now about if you want to understand a story, there's some principal things to know. What is your main characters like? Who are they? What do they want more than anything else in the world? What are they willing to do to get that thing? And what is the consequence of them getting or not getting that thing? And I build a story from the characters out. I always feel like if you build a really strong character, one where you can believe that person, you could imagine knowing that person, then you could probably put that character anywhere. So it's not as important to know what the plot is going to be. It's far more important to know who is the person that's going to be in that plot.
Yeah.
Um, and from that, I thought those three things. What if you turn that? What if you challenge a person with it's almost like a question you would get at a party. Like, what do you do if someone comes to the door and knocks on it and says to
Mhm.
you, I can give you 10 more years with a person that you love, or 10 more years with a person that you've lost. But you have to go with that person right now.
Yeah.
And every time I'd asked anyone that as I was beginning to develop the story, the knee jerk immediately from everyone was, well, where are they going? And I go,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. You don't know. Could be anywhere. Would you go? And that like opens up so many places.
Mhm.
And the more I thought about that, if I have an idea, because I have a lot of ideas, I'm just, it's one of those people constantly thinking,
Yep.
and most of them fall out. Most of them I have them, and then a few days later, they're not that great, and I just junk them. But if an idea kind of hooks me, and the more I think about it, the more I kind of want to think about it, that's when I want to write a story.
Yeah.
And that idea of would you go with that person if you don't know where they're going and for what end? I That was an idea I just kind of knew I could do a lot with. And I
Mhm.
think that if you're a creative, one of the best things you can do is um and this is it's going to sound almost like an argument maybe for censorship, and it isn't, but I
Sure.
do think you should confine yourself. Put yourself in a box
Mhm.
and then get yourself out of it. And that's when the most creative ideas, because when I say, okay, well, but you can't use the door and there are no windows and you don't have a ladder, now do it. It makes you have to put yourself in places you wouldn't obviously go.
Yes.
And that's how narrative, I think, develops.
Yeah. I have
So that's where I always try to go.
Oh, I have to say, what really hooked me from very early on was, as you describe it there, it sounds like a Faustian pact, but it's with a twist because somebody else accepted that on her behalf, on the main character's behalf. And I think that's something that's really, um, we'll see it in volume 2. And hopefully, I'm really looking forward to the next part of the free agent as well, to the new one. Um, is this something that you were, because it is almost like another aspect of the free agent was you had the character actually almost researching, because it's almost like a dark folklore, and it kind of remind me of kind of people looking up creepy pastas, or they're looking up just even as we have like just things like Slenderman and all, and the legend that's around that. Was that something that you were really thinking of with the free agent, to have that folklore about it?
Well, so there is one channel I would hype, Nightmare Expo or Nexpo on YouTube. He's
Okay.
brilliant. He does some really interesting videos, and sometimes I'll watch things like that. And I'm usually because I'm a bit older, and so I'll watch things sometimes, and they're like, "What could this thing mean?" And I'm like, "That's an old hearing aid,"
Yeah.
or that's what a fire extinguisher used to look like. Or, I think a lot of times your worldview is framed by your exposure. So
Mhm.
sometimes, I was just saying actually earlier today to my husband that because I was watching The Shining, and I was saying that I love like conspiracy theorism if it's benevolent. I love
Yeah.
like when a story, like when in Irish folklore, and of course I wasn't born here, so I'm an outsider coming to look in. But when you hear things about like the idea of fairies coming for children, I
Mm.
always imagine that's a case of in a situation where mortality rates were so high,
Yeah.
a benevolence to grief.
Yes.
And I love when a story shows the underlying humanity of people. It's
Mm.
so easy and I think a little bit lazy to immediately be sinister
Yeah.
when there's so much fruit in benevolence, and most people in the world are good people.
Yes.
They're complicated, and the motivation to do self-preservation or protection of another can lead people to do really dark things, and that's interesting. But I think if we're not careful, we look at the world and we see something like creepypasta, we see something immediately sinister, we're
Yeah.
missing a much more interesting story. And
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to do because obviously this character enters, Alex enters, having been told someone else took this choice for them,
Yeah. That's
which not only puts you in a little bit of a debt, but it also, in a weird way, kind of removes consent. We
yeah.
assume that a person would choose more living if they were given the choice. But if you're not given the choice, that would make you want to know who did it.
And for
You
what
would
purpose?
have questions.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
I know
You
it's.
know.
Oh no, definitely. And as I was saying to people, you are definitely. How many novels have you actually wrote so far, Ruby? Because I remember
Uh
let's try
18,
80.
and the 19th I just started yesterday.
Okay, excellent. Um, I have to share, like, this is the Spellman and Stantz novels. So this is almost like it's in the Ghostbusters universe. This is a series that you have at the moment. I was just saying just offline, I've ordered one of the books and I'm looking forward to tucking into it before Halloween. So I'll be in touch with you about that. But could you tell us a little bit about this Spellman and Stantz books?
Sure. I'm usually motivated by, and like my earliest stories back when I was like 6, 7 years old ish. I would see something and I would have this profound sense that something wasn't fair. And as an adult, of course, I think sometimes the best stories ever told leave you with an intense feeling of unfairness, especially children's stories. You want to break hearts when you're young and you can turn to people who can comfort you and you can learn from that. And that's why I think a lot of tragic stories are written for young people. Um, but that sense of what's like, this isn't right, this isn't fair, definitely motivated me to want to go, well, I'll fix it. I'll go in and I'll write it. And for a long time, that was just me in a journal or me for a school assignment or something like that. I was not as audacious
Mhm.
when I was younger. But with this one, I'm a big Ghostbusters fan. In fact, me and a couple of my friends, we go and we raise money for As I Am, the autism awareness
Wow.
charity. Yeah, and we do that by getting dressed up as Ghostbusters, and we go to events and conventions, things like that. It's terrific fun. And I remember I saw the most recent Ghostbusters movie, and I felt like they'd kind of given the flowers to the Egon character in Afterlife, and I felt like the last movie was a real hat tip to Ray, which
Mhm.
Aykroyd, of course, is quite famous. We all know and appreciate what he contributed as the creator and the origin and all of that, and of course, an advocate.
Yeah.
But I just kind of found myself feeling like these characters, the older characters especially, who are so loved, were almost left, especially Ray, like in his shop until he's needed.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go in and flesh out that storyline and give more to that. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the movie, but there's one particular scene in the movie that absolutely sends me. where they're talking, he and his partner are talking back and forth, and Winston tries to urge him to like relax and enjoy his golden years.
Yeah.
And Ray very sincerely said, "This is how I want to spend my golden years because this is what I love." And I remember leaving the movie, and by the next day, I had the idea for Spellman and Stantz. It was just swirling around in my head. I love the idea of older characters still having adventures. I love
Mm,
the idea that one is not too late to fall in love with somebody or to find one's partner.
yes.
Too much of the world acquiesces to youth, but there's such richness and experience and wisdom and age. And it's
Yeah.
complicated, as well. I mean, you have limitations and different limitations, but you also love people differently when you're older. And I wanted to capture that. And I hope that I did.
Oh, excellent. And there's at the moment, I think, is there three books at the moment, or is there a fourth on the way, or my
The fourth is on the way. And the
that's
fourth one is set in Ireland.
oh really? Oh cool.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
particular part of Ireland or just
Oh, oh, good grief. There's a few. There's
oh
parts
yeah.
in UCD, but the most of the story happens. Oh gosh. You have
Or
to
if
ask
you want to
me.
hold on to
I
it, if
can't
there's
say there.
spoilers, okay.
Castletown Bear. I
All right.
literally spent like a week there just a couple of months ago, literally mapping things out and everything. Yeah, it's the Hag of Bara is the main villain. That was the other thing. I mean, you want a good hero, like a character based hero, or have your character based protagonist, but you want an equally good villain.
Definitely.
You
Yeah.
don't have one that just scares you, then the story
Yeah.
doesn't have stakes.
Oh,
So, literal gods by the fourth book.
brilliant. Yeah, because I was like, was it Vigo in the second one?
In the
Um,
second
but a
movie,
combination,
yeah.
yeah. That I mean, that was a great film. Like I loved Zool. It was great in the first one, but yeah, no,
Hmm.
that's cool. And can I ask, like, just as what are some of your influences, Ruby, or who are? Sorry. Um,
Oh gosh. Well, when I grew up, I loved reading classics. I was a real stickler for like H.G. Wells and Jules Verne, George Orwell. I also really like children's literature a lot. I like tons and tons of children's literature because I like a really great children's book tells a big story through a prism so young people can understand it. And I'm a big fan of that. By the time I hit high school, I read a ton of biographies. I would definitely recommend reading biographies and things like that. It's important to understand that many people think very differently than you. And the
yeah,
more people you pick up perspective and experience, the more you can imagine framing conversations that don't lead and sound authentic and realistic. That's super useful. I think people talk about like the death of the author as a severance between the person creating a story and the person reading the story. But I feel like death of the author happens a bit earlier. As soon as I'm done writing a story, it doesn't belong to me anymore. It
yeah,
belongs to everyone else. One of the weirder parts when I first started writing books, and now that I've had so many of them and they're so different, it's an easier question to kind of avoid. But people go, "Oh, but like it's you, right?" And I'm like,
yes,
"No, you're nothing like me."
yeah.
Um,
It's
I don't think you're a very good person crafting. I would no, I don't want to quite say like you're not a good writer per se, but it can be a bad trap for writers to fall
yeah.
into, putting too much of their own life experiences in their work.
It's like a lack of imagination as well, isn't it? That you can't like empathize with somebody else or view something through somebody else's eyes and how would they perceive it and have that distance. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, it also is it's a fantastic way to challenge your own internal biases, your own prejudices, to shake up the comfort of a thing. Because I think even really great writers, like Stephen King is a good example of this.
mhm,
I think Stephen King is a brilliant writer, and a great many of his books are fantastic, and I really enjoy them. But he does, when he was doing drugs, you
yeah,
can kind of see that effect. And since ending that, things like rehab become very common and very important in a lot of his works. And I appreciate that, but it's kind of a thing where you almost feel like you're getting a bit of a glimpse at him,
yes,
not at the work. I don't want to be at all on your mind when you're reading my books. I want you to have better things to think about. Hopefully, what's in the book.
Oh no, absolutely.
So
Yeah. The other
yeah.
thing with Stephen King as well is like almost all of his characters were writers in some form or way. Even I think Billy Summers was.
Yes.
I do remember. I absolutely agree with you about him, but I do remember the Tommyknockers where had the character Guard, and he's like it's almost like Stephen King was saying goodbye to his addictions because when he spoiler, but when he's locked away in the ship leaving Earth, it's like that's like yeah.
Hmm.
I mean that must be cathartic for him. But at the same time, when I was reading, I was like, I know what you're doing, Stephen. So yeah,
Exactly. It's like you can see him. And
yeah,
there's and I mean, that's why things like The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon are such a treat because it's so not him. It's so removed.
yeah,
And so you can actually really kind of read that. I remember I read that when I was a teenage girl because I read it as soon as it came out
yeah.
and related very much with that character. And that's when you, like I said, I would never take away from anything. He's very good at what he does. I just wouldn't want that much. It's a little bit like they
Yeah,
talk about Steven Spielberg and how his relationship to his father is in every one of his movies. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
it's true. It's like where are the father figures in most of them? So yeah, apart from Roy Neary. So
Yeah.
oh no, absolutely. And
I think if I fell into that, I would have really changed what I was doing to avoid it.
yeah, yeah. Oh no, certainly like from reading, from having spoken to you like a few times in Red Books and all as well, and then like reading like the free agent, it definitely there definitely seems to be a distance between yourself and Alex anyway, so it's and the characters there, her friends as well is it's a very nice kind of interplay. So we, I'm looking forward to very much to part two. The new one will be in volume three of Tales from Beyond. So, thank you. I'm looking forward to reading that, and I'm not going to give any spoilers to people once I do. But I is this going to be a case the free agent is going to be novel length? I remember you saying it's going to be
Well, I have 5 parts plotted.
excellent.
I do tend to try to because I'm very big on plot bunnies. If you've noticed a trend in anything I've written, it's probably on purpose. I tend to like right now I'm working on what will be the last Spellman and Stantz novel, and there are nudges and nods that go all the way back to the first book.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm intentionally writing 5 so that if you reread it, it should be a different story the second time.
Oh, excellent. Yeah.
It's a very interesting challenge to try to learn to code switch in such a way that when you go in with one set of knowledge, you go to certain conclusions. I always say that my dad for a little while was a tree surgeon, and if you want to knock down a tree and you want it to fall in an exact place, there's ways you have to cut the tree so that it falls the way you want it to.
Yes.
Writing is a little bit like that. I think there's a writer's gambit in that if I want you to come to at least a hopeful conclusion for most people, there's information I will hold back until the right times and information I will make available at certain times so that you can. In fact, it's a conversation I've had with my editor because when my editor did the first Spellman and Stantz book, I got a bunch of notes as she was working and she was like, what does this mean? What does this mean? And I said to her, do me a favor, write all your questions down. And then when the book is over, if there are any answers you couldn't strike through, then send them to me. I said, I'm not interested in if you understand everything all the way through. I'm
Yeah.
interested that you understand everything at the end. You should be able to look back, just like in life, and it makes sense.
Yes.
I said, if you just trust me, like, you'll have a good time. At least I hope so. And by the end of it, she's like, I get it. I get it. So that's kind of a thing. Now I'm trying to up the ante on that a little bit and challenge myself by writing a thing that if you look back, it's going to look like a different road. It's going to look like you missed something tremendous.
Wow.
And that's the idea.
Well, I think that's probably the best promotion of Spellman and Stance that you could do. I mean, like if anyone's not hooked after listening to that, I think there might be something wrong. So to purchase Spellman and Stance, it's mainly Amazon, is it, or do you have any website for purchasing the books yourself, or
I have them in a few places. Ebook is, of course, always available, and you can get that on Buy Me a Coffee. There are links if you want physical copies. Honestly, call Wally. I can get them to Wally, and I would much rather you frequented and patronized a local bookseller that
Yeah.
give money to Amazon.
Oh,
So
I agree.
um because the Ghostbusters and Ray Stantz as a character and things are not my possession. They are intellectual property, and I am playing with them. I don't make anything off of physical copies of the book at all. I make, if you go to like buy me a coffee and you want to give me like a donation or a tip, that always helps.
Okay.
But these books I make virtually nothing off of. I wrote it purely for the love of it, and also in the hope that if you really like it, maybe you read something else I wrote.
Yeah.
Um, so it was more as an exercise that got away from me as they can too.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
yeah, if you want one, call Wally. He'll reach out to me, and I will make sure you get copies of the books. And I would much rather that than buying from Amazon.
Excellent. Well, I have the buy me a coffee link and the link to irishbooks.com as well as Redbooks. We'll be putting them up in the description. So just with that in mind, we have volume 2 of Tales from Beyond will be released on October 30th. Will you be in attendance, Ruby? Not to put you on the spot.
I'm going to try to. I actually have an event the next day for
Oh,
that group I discussed earlier for
Halloween,
Halloween,
sure, yes.
but it's the train. So if I can get into time, I'm going to try my very best.
Okay, excellent. And pick up the first part of the free agent, Apotheosis, is in volume 1 of Tales from Beyond, currently available through Red Books, as well as volume 2 of Tales from Beyond will be released on October 30th. Ruby, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Is there anything you'd like to say to your readers out there?
If I have, I love you. You're so awesome. Leave more reviews, as I tell most people. If you hated it, come tell me. If you loved it, tell everyone else.
Excellent. So leave reviews on the likes of Goodreads, on any websites and all as well.
Anywhere.
Excellent.
Yeah, anywhere. It's always it's like you thrive on praise, but no, the truth is I thrive on criticism. If there's something I can do better, I want to do it better, and I can't know that if only people tell me I did it well.
Perfect.
So,
That's excellent. So thank you very much, Ruby, and
mhm.
see you everyone, and we'll see you at the next author spotlight. Thank you. Bye.